All right, so today's video, a little bit different. Well, actually, we've watched a few of these before, but we're going to be spectating an OWCS match. Now, this was a really, really close match recently, and we're going to be watching it from the point of view of Vestola. And for anybody who doesn't know Vestola, one of the most consistent tanks you'll see. Always a great tank on any team he's ever been on, and it is very consistent. Like, when I say consistent, I mean, like, generally makes the right play, constantly has good positioning, doesn't even go for the flashy plays, even though, like, he has, like, the mechanical skill to easily go for them. Goes for, like, the really, like, just very solid tank if you ever want to learn, like, certain styles. Vestola is one of the styles. Both the tanks in this game are actually really good, and they both have different play styles, so, but this was a really good game. This is more of a learning kind of game. We watch it, we see the cool things. I'm not going to go like, you know, this isn't like, oh, you should have done this thing. This is like we watch it, we learn, we enjoy some good gameplay and have a good time with it. So this match ended up being really good. This is a 25-minute Midtown game. And this series in general, to give you an idea, so the way it works in OWCS, it's first to 3. So generally best of 5. This series went 6 maps because there was a draw in this series. Went 6 maps. So a lot of this is actually a really good learning spot too, because I like to play Sigma on this spot too, and you got to pretty much stay up on the high ground. So it kind of shows you how you rotate, how you go on high. Like I said, what Vestola's doing here, and I want to show people this because you're probably going like, why don't you rotate, right? If you're a tank player, sometimes you're like, why don't I rotate? Like, why would, you know, why is the tank still up here? Well, this is, in pro play, off angles are so important. You need to kind of play around the map. The more that you get caught out, like, in the same spots together, the easier it is to kill. So, the idea that Vestola has here is stay on high ground, so that way if, for example, the Ramatra goes to chase the Sigma, the players over here, see the players over here? The players here can now play angles. Do you see what I'm saying? So now, even though it looks like Sigma's out of position, the rest of the team can now follow up, and then that's how you create angles. And that's why sometimes as the tank, especially on Sigma, like not a mobile tank, your two options are rotate way sooner or stay on high. And Vestola goes with like a really smart play here of being on high ground. Could still get isolated, but yeah, we'll see. Also, I think I just randomly hit the mute button on Discord there. I don't know if anybody else heard that. Apparently that's my mute button. All right, here we go. Now rotates over after the first pick. See? Do you see how that goes? And then rotates in. So, what's really, like I said, what was really cool about that play, do you notice how, like, Vestola started on high ground when they got a kill, rotated over, and then took away the map control? That is, like, perfect tank gameplay. It's where you don't need to be in front of them, you need to pressure them. That's why, this is also why, if you look up here, they're taking the high ground away, is because they don't want that to happen again. They're like, we can't let Vestola just sit up on this high ground and dominate this angle, right? Like, we need to take that away. So they're taking the high ground away, which will then force the tank back, and then you get rid of those angles. And that's what happens, see? Vestola can't stay up there and has to rotate out. So it's really good gameplay. It's just really, really good tank play, because if the tank doesn't clear that out, you're going to have the same issue happen. Zachary, thanks for the Prime sub. Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you. Also, what is one thing you might notice here with Sigma? And this goes for anybody learning Sigma. You notice how it's not playing Reinhardt, and I've talked about you're not playing Sigma like Rein? Have you even seen Vestola look towards the team that much? Doesn't have to. Because Sigma's very much a solo-style tank that helps the team with damage, and that you help your team with damage and zoning out areas. You don't need to play like a Reinhardt. You use your damage effectively and make sure you're not an easy kill. That's how you play Sigma. So keep watching these rotations. You'll see what I'm talking about. Now, this might be a different play. Oh, I remember watching that too. The one shot, like, just immediately falls over. Yeah, I love the rotations. It's just such, like, clean gameplay. Same rotation. See? So again, I want to show you what like the setup has now become. See this? They don't go for the high ground anymore. Vestola stays over here. The players here stay in here, see? Like Shockwave and Gala are just kind of down here. And what this does is, again, creates those angles. What you'll probably see happen is as Vestola sees these players go, Vestola will start to, like, kind of like, you know, go this way, depending on what happens. But the idea is you'll end up surrounding them, right? That's the rotation you'll do. You'll see it happen. It will happen later on. Or it should happen. It depends, I guess, if the teammates go down there. Yep. So you watch main here, you block off that, then you start to do the rotation over. Yep, and there it is. Now that they got the kill, you meet up with the team, and then you're good to go. Yep. I mean, that was just great play. It's, like I said, it's one thing I've always said with Vestola's gameplay. It's very consistently good, and generally Vestola will make the correct play, and it will be like a very clean play, and that's what you're seeing. That's why I said, like, Vestola can easily go for the flashy plays if he wanted to, but a lot of the time we'll go with the team first. I'm going to make sure that this part is that my teammates can trust that this is held down. You know what I'm saying? I mean, straight up, that was a great mail. That mail was so good. I remember seeing that one live, too, and I love that, like, that's how you know you're doing it right as a tank. If the play by May is to literally just run in and mail you at that corner. Like, I don't care about anybody else. I've had enough of you being here. Okay? I have had enough of you being here, and that's it. All right? I've had enough. Because that is the correct play. Like, the May making that play was probably the only play that would consistently work here, because then Vestola has ult, so if they try to go for the back line, then Vestola would just end up using ult and then saving the team with that. So you just basically ult the Sigma and hope for the best. Love Arnie coming to say hi. Playing up close. Yep. Yeah, that ult is so hard to like to go with, but I think that was a good choice. Isolate one of the supports. Very well played. Now, I can't remember. Is Vestola going to do the setup over here? Because what's going to happen is if Vestola stays on this side, it goes back to creating angles again. I love the aggression here. And, okay, so, by the way, one thing you're going to notice now, and I just want to show this because I think this is a good example of this. So what's happening now, Vestola is starting to push up even more now, and the reason being is because of the D.Va, right? Now, obviously, and you go, why would you push up because of the D.Va? Well, when you're playing against a Ramattra, you need to play safe, right? Because the Ramattra can go Nemesis form and basically kind of isolate you out. So now that the D.Va's there, that can't happen. But yeah, so that's why Vestola pushes up. I was just watching Arnie. Vestola pushes up is because the D.Va can't have that same pressure Ramattra puts on, so what you do now is you take more space, right? The D.Va's not able to create that space. The D.Va will be able to isolate you with, like, DM and, you know, shots on you and heals, and that will be where the problem stands. But, like, as you can see, you notice how Vestola now has made the decision of, okay, they're on D.Va, I'm going to play more aggressive, right? Like, that's the play now. That's how we need to do this because of that. And it's really smart, right? You're pushing up, you're taking map control, and this is where you'll see pro players really build their ults quickly, is during these opportunities of, like, damage that you sometimes don't go for in ranked, right? Because, like, you know, you don't know if your team will be there to back you up. So normally you might, you know, you might be at 25% ult charge, but Vestola's already at 50, right? Because of this aggression. Now, again, just to show people this is the angle. What you're doing is you're creating angles, so you have players on this side, and you have players on this side. We see it all the time, like it's a Nyata, and like someone will stay here. This time it's a Yari and a Sigma. Good combo, and you just play this corner, and that way there's like basically like a crossfire here. Yep. Why does he only leave his shield up for a half a second, then immediately take it down? Sure, I'll explain that in a second. So, remember how I've talked about an example I make is you want to use Sigma shield more like a Zarya bubble than like a Rein shield? That's what's happening. And you're seeing it happen from Vestola's point of view, where you're kind of using the shield as more of a way to block like an initial burst of something rather than leaving it AFK there. So when you play Sigma, you want to kind of shift your mindset to more of that Zarya style of how you use your shield, with the ability to use it as like a standstill spot if needed, right? Like if, oh, we have window, maybe I can set my Sigma shield up there and keep it as a static shield. But a lot of really good Sigma players will use their shield like a Zarya bubble, to prevent like a couple, you know, instances of damage, but doesn't let it get destroyed sometimes. It will get destroyed because sometimes you just need to have it up the whole time. Like right here, like, but like that's why you're seeing the shield. So you end up having good shield management. Now they took away the other side here, so you're going to see Vestola have to go push this side away. This was really good play. I actually remember that there because I think Simple had the Zenyatta ultimate. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm surprised, but now I see why that happened that way because the Zen really didn't see that was happening. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, if the shield breaks, exactly, but like, you could leave your shield out for 500 HP, right? You could leave it up for a while. It's more of why are you using it like, you know, you hit your shield once and drop it again. That's why. You're using it for an early prevention of the burst damage, and then you drop it, right? So like, you don't take 600 damage, you take 200 damage, the rest is absorbed by your shield, then you drop your shield again. This was a really good rotation. I remember seeing this too. The problem, I think, this rotation's really good, but I think what happens here is they're kind of all over the place. So now what you would do is you would probably ult Sigma now? Yep. Wait, I remember this! There it is. There's the ult. Goes for the Zen instead. The Zen LOS is that. Somehow. That was an LOS. I need to see this. What happened over here? Remember this, chat? We were watching this, and I'm like, how did this miss? I need to see this now. Okay, ready? Watch this. Dude. It got stuck. Look at this. It went to the corner right here and counted as LOS. Look it.
This ends now.
So the center is, this is the center. So like, this is where the line of sight is of the ultimate. Yep, you see this? This is the line of sight of the ultimate. Right there. So because this is line of sight, it's considered Zenyatta out of there. And that's why. Like, if you were high noonin right here, this wouldn't be a high noon kill, right? That's what happened. This is why I get so frustrated with the ultimate sometimes, because the ultimate also tries to snap onto objects to make it easier. When they first introduced the ultimate, it wouldn't do that. If I recall correctly, it wouldn't do that, and then they made it because like it made it easier overall. But I wish they gave me the option again to not snap onto objects. Didn't Sigma ult go through walls for a while? That's why they did that, because it was a frustrating like loop, but then it was frustrating for players because you were getting ulted through walls. So that's what happened there. I was wondering because it looked great. Even in the cast it looked good, but now I see what happened. Yep. And then the Zenyatta doesn't die because of that. And they actually might lose the team fight because of that too. Because well, the Zenyatta does die, but like the Sigma would have been in a much better spot. So, yep. Damn. That's crazy. After that Sigma ultimate doesn't really, you know, they're not able to win the team fight. I still think that Sigma ultimate should have hit. That looked like it was going to be good. Good morning to you. Good morning, good morning. Diva swap is not too bad here. Probably going to have to swap off anyway. Which is what will happen. Yeah, they're making all the hero swaps. I love the Diva, but I think the Ramattra was the correct play here. That's why they were kind of all spinning in circles and spawn. They wanted to like figure out their comp. One thing I do like about the way VP plays sometimes is like they'll just like take map control back quickly. I like that. Good morning to you too. So like more backline pressure here. This is all like planned out strategies too. So like what's happening here is like the Tracer's making callouts probably, and then you go in with the tank. So. Damn. Yeah, I mean like, I think the way that they got like, the way that they were surrounded there just ended up being very well played. This game's crazy, by the way. There you go, going with it. I love these backline pressure plays. It's really good. I can't believe it ended up being like a really, really good peel because like Vestola had such good position and then did not have good position. And so this third point here ended up being like a massive snowball. And that's why it ended up being like they lost the round. Like you just never really get anything going. So that was very well played. And then they're going to get Swiss Minds at that time. So it's just a very good rotation and like surrounding of the tank. So, yep. Callouts were good. You could tell like the idea was like get backline pressure and go for those type of plays. So Diva in this type of situation, what you're gonna do is basically try to just gain map control for your team, whether it's through the high ground or getting your team set up. So if you remember on the first round, what you saw was like it was really hard to get to the point. So this idea is like setting up the team to basically get to the point. You know, like basically get your team across, go for backline pressure, things like that. So obviously opting more for like the backline pressure. Oh, I remember this. They were doing it. Okay, I want to show this part. They were doing a listen-in on... I remember this. They were doing a listen-in on VP. Maybe the editor can find this. And this is what I'll show you. So Vestola goes in here, right? Goes for map control. Okay? Vestola goes, oh. Vestola's like, okay, I'm at 479 HP. Let me get this health pack very quickly. Goes to get the health pack. Jwoo just yoinks the health pack. And then Vestola just goes, oh. Or like something like that. Just like, oh.
Yeah, I can go.
Oh, I can.
Oh shit.
Like the tracer just takes the health pack and Vestola's left in this room, no armor, in the corner with 353 HP. And they had a listen-in during that. I remember that was like the call. I was like, oh, what? Like Vestola was so confused when the health pack was just gone. And then gets out, and then rotates out, which is smart. Like, at that point, you can't stay there if your team isn't getting across. So the idea is get around the map. So now, and I remember these callouts too here. So it's really interesting to see this from Vestola's point of view now. So what's happening here is Vestola wants to dive the back line. But if you notice, every time D.Va gets to the back line, no one's there to be able to get the kill. So what happens is, and there was a call out here, and again, this could maybe be referenced, you know, if we want, with like the...
Ram on me, no form. I'm going back main. We need to go harder, guys. We need to kill. We walk, look for kills. I can go. 3, 2, 1. Send. Run next, I think.
So basically, Vestola was finally like, we need to dive them. Like, I can't get... This wasn't the exact quote, but it was basically like, I can't... Like, if I get the map control, we need to go and get the kills on the back line. Like, we need to go and... We need to all in them. Because if we don't, they're going to keep backing up and we're never going to get kills. We're going to get some map control, we aren't going to get kills. So I remember that, and that was kind of like the call-out. Now, obviously, you'll hear, like, what the actual call-out... I think it was like, we got to go in deep or something. Like, and here you go, see? See that? And that was the call-out, and then it happens. So they go into the back line. Now Vestola was able to get map control behind Ramatra, and then boom. You see that? You see how that was all done? It was so well played. It was such a good call, and it was just very well played there. How that was, going around like that. See? But yeah, that whole sequence was they had listen-ins during that, and you could hear that happening, and how that adjustment was made in real time, of like, we need to go for the back line. Oh yeah, for reference, by the way, and I can redo it at the beginning. OBS Sojourn has really good, has like a really good spreadsheet for this, really good videos and all that stuff. So definitely worth checking out. That's where AwCrap is able to get a lot of the codes from. Reason why you're seeing D.Va go that way. Remember earlier on Sigma, like that side of the map, you want to control that side of the map. You need to take away that off angle, otherwise you're gonna get stuck. That Zen is gonna be at the target. Yep, see, and you can see it. And this is like you're getting the front row seat to like watching a tank. Like, basically, you know, watching a tank take map control. So, you know? Here we go. Let me just check this. Good job taking high ground control. Go back up. Now, as a tank, what you're seeing Vestola do here is controlling this part of the map. Again, I want you to think about when you were watching Vestola on defense, how he would try to go to these spots and, like, couldn't get to them. Now you're seeing it on the opposite side of, like, denying that space. And that's what's happening right now. Denying the space. Oh, really? I didn't realize that. That, like, the last code doesn't exist. Hey, I'd probably have to ask the players. I think I have a couple of them, but... Yeah, that was one of those... I call that kind of getting stuck in the mud. It's where basically, like, you want to make a play, but then you can't make the play you want, and you're kind of stuck in the middle, and then you make a good swap. This is a good swap, by the way. Oh, is it? Okay, so it is there? Okay, that's perfect then. Clean up. Taking map control. I want to give you an idea of what's happening there, by the way, so people kind of understand, okay? So, what happened here, by the way, you're probably wondering, why is Ramatra standing still there? So the idea, when the Ramatra was standing still right here, was to just basically be the target of the Ramatra, right? Because when you're Ramatra, you don't want to sit there on a Ramatra and just use your ult. You want to get to the back line. So, the vision that Vestola has is let me tank this as long as I can to give my teammates opportunity to go and like disengage, and then we'll rotate up the stairs and see if that works. Now, obviously, it doesn't work perfectly, right? But the idea was basically see if you can buy as much time. You're like, yeah, but like if Vestola is able to run away from the Ramatra and like it will disconnect. These tank players are so good. They'll stay connected for as long as they can, right? This was a really good play, and you don't really see that in like real time even when you're watching the match. It's just, you know, obviously a good, well-placed Ramatra ultimate can get kills, but that was why you saw Vestola standing here for a while. It just basically you're taking the aggro and you're basically making sure that these teammates for now are fine. But yeah, it ended up being a really good disengage by Vestola, and we'll see how the rest of the team fight goes. But yeah, if you look at the ultimate there in Ramatra, the ultimate ended up going away, so it ended up being a perfect decision. I did that whole sequence right here by Vestola there was really well played, because like basically disengages like a disadvantageous Ramatra at the time, flips the map, runs in, kills a Zenyatta, gets stuck by a Tracer, able to survive against the Tracer, right? Able to survive against the Tracer, get a Pulse Bomb out, and then basically take the team fight. Like, that was a great play. That whole sequence was just... Again, going back to what I said, Vestola's a very, very, like, plays tank very cleanly. Very smart. Not bad. Making my way downtown. Ooh, I like that. Okay. So what Vestola's trying to do there is take map control on the backline, but they did a really good job of isolating them. And that's what's going to be the difference maker is, like, does the DPS isolate the other tank? That's what it comes down to. So. Yeah, there it is again. And this is communicated aggression there. Like, that was speed ring into an ult. And now you might see a Ramatra ultimate just for survivability. Yep. Which is the correct play. You have momentum right now, why not keep it, right? Yeah, well, there's different regions, yes, in cities. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hello. Push the payload.
This is from the other day. I'm just showcasing the where we got the point of view of it now. So this is like the replay code. And just so you know, chat, like to give you an idea here, what's crazy about this sequence right here specifically is that if Twisted Minds doesn't hold the point right here, right, like in that specific spot, VP would finish the map with no time. I mean, Twisted Minds wouldn't have had another attack. So that win right there, like that win right there, was like a huge win because VP would have just had the reins here after that. So it looked like they were just gonna roll right there, you know, but they weren't. But they didn't. Going in with that.
This ends now.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot about this high ground take. It was just to deny space, and then you just end up being here. Lucio's behind, so you're probably going to see a speed boost play. Yep. You're going to speed boost from this part. That's why this is happening. Get ready. It's going to be like a speed ring dive. Notice the patience there, too. I really love that. Like, just kind of waiting up on the high ground and, like, not, like, trying to think you need to do something. One thing I do sometimes in tank is I feel like I need to do too much sometimes. So I'll think, like, oh, there's too much downtime. I need to do something. That's why you get to see really cool play like that in pro play. Great vortex there. Yep. And that should be a team fight. Damn. Like I said, this was a great matchup, wasn't it? You like that? So right now, by the way, look at the score line. 3-3. Both teams finished with no time. So now, for anybody who doesn't like know the rules of overtime here, if both teams were to cap this, then you know they wherever the cart goes to. But if any of the team doesn't get a percentage, right? which they need to get to at least, what, 33%, 33.3 to be able to count as a tick, then it would be a draw. Same strategy here. And then the crazy part is you see the Ramatra now instead of the Sigma, which makes sense because you kind of saw where like the flow of like the hero swaps are going. But again, they didn't really go for the high ground on Ramatra, so as Ramatra you have free reign. So the whole time that's been like the strength here is like Vestola just plays up on the high ground top left like a statue, and outside of one contest on the previous round that we saw, nothing. No one went for him. So, yep. Oh, I remember that Vortex. It was so huge. Because they all wanted the TP to the point, which is the correct play at that point when there's no time. But a Vortex into like a bunch of AoE damage is so good. AoE damage is just like massive amounts of damage at once. Like, they damage to everybody. Yep. So really good defense, really good rotation. And yeah, that's where they ended up being here. So, like I said, very solid gameplay. Very, very solid gameplay. It's cool to see. Actually, I might be able to get through this one, too. They haven't even picked the next map yet. This could be perfect. So, if you notice here, by the way, VP went with a TP play right away. So, they saw, like, hey, like, you know, Twisted Minds, they went late on that TP play. Let's go TP play on our own and see if we can just go right away and do this. Now, that's why you see, if you look here, Case A is basically just sitting there and just trying to be aggressive on the TP play, right? How is he so high in ultimate? Because they were trying to TP, so they were all stacked in the room behind him. That's why. Basically trying to deny the TP play. So when you go in there to try to deny that, and that's the play, that's how you get so much ult charge. This is actually a great rotation too. It was a better rotation across the board, and nobody else was there again. So instead, Vestola's kind of stuck here. Has to play defense. The idea behind that push is to get rid of the LOS. Actually ended up being the correct decision, but there wasn't enough time, and there you go. Ended up being a draw, it looks like. Which, I mean, obviously we knew the result of this, but a draw, and you can see, like, what I love about watching these games is, like, you get to watch it from, you know, the point of view of, like, you know, considered top-tier tanks. So I love watching these point of views of OWCS players. So I hope y'all enjoy watching that, too. It's more of a... I use it as like a learning tool for myself, too. So I learned some rotations and some cool plays, and you get to see why players do stuff and how pro play works. So that was fun to watch. I hope you enjoyed. Who do you want us to watch next? Let us know in the comments. Like the video, hit the like button. Subscribe to the YouTube if you haven't. If you want to watch more videos like this, little box down here, click that button. Get to watch my videos. A lot of fun. Hope you all have an amazing day / night.